Do you own your mind, or does your mind own you? It seems like a simple question. You are the one thinking, you are the one speaking, you are the one moving. But tell me, when that insult came, and the fire rose in your chest, and the harsh words flew out of your mouth before you could stop them, who was in control then? When the stress of the day hit you, and you found yourself drowning in anxiety, unable to focus, reacting to every noise and every demand like a frightened animal, who was driving the vehicle? You believe that to survive in this fast world, you must be fast. You are taught that speed is intelligence, that the quick comeback is strength. That immediate action is leadership. But I am here to tell you that this speed is often just a beautifully decorated form of slavery. When you react instantly, you are not free. You are a biological puppet, dancing to strings pulled by your history, your trauma, and your instincts. A reaction is not a choice. It is a reflex. It is the past hijacking the present. The master is not the one who moves the fastest. The master is the one who knows how to stand still in the eye of the storm. Today, I want to invite you into a secret space. A space that exists in every single moment of your life, but one that you likely miss 1,000 times a day. It is the space between the trigger and the action, between the match being struck and the fire burning. In that tiny, silent gap lies your entire freedom. In that gap lies the difference between a life of regretful reactions and a life of powerful responses. We are going to walk this path together, not just as a philosophy, but as a training. We will uncover the biological machinery that turns you into a puppet, and I will give you the code to cut those strings. But first, we must understand the machine. We must look at why you react the way you do. Because you are not broken. You are simply running an old program in a new world. Have you ever wondered why a simple email from your boss can make your heart pound as if you were being chased by a tiger? Or why a comment from your partner can trigger a rage that feels life-threatening? To understand this, we must look at the architecture of your brain. You see, inside you, there is a guardian, a sentry that never sleeps. In 1995, the psychologist and science journalist Dr. Daniel Goleman introduced the world to a concept that perfectly explains this loss of control. He called it the Amygdala Hijack. Deep inside your brain, in the limbic system, the ancient part of you that feels but does not think, sits the amygdala. It is your alarm bell. Its only job is to ask one question, 24 hours a day: am I safe? When information enters your brain, through your eyes or ears, it usually goes to two places. It goes to the amygdala, and it goes to the neocortex, the thinking, logical, human part of your brain. The neocortex is the CEO. It analyzes, it plans, it decides. But here is the problem. The path to the amygdala is shorter and faster. When the amygdala perceives a threat, and to your ancient brain, a rude comment is the same as a predator in the bushes, it hits the emergency button. It declares a state of martial law in your body. It floods you with adrenaline and cortisol. It shuts down the neural pathways to your neocortex. It literally disconnects your logic. Dr. Goleman calls this a hijack because in that moment, your thinking brain is taken hostage. You are physically incapable of complex reasoning or empathy. You are operating on pure survival instinct: fight, flight, or freeze. This system was designed to save you from a lion on the savannah. It works perfectly for that. But it is a disaster when you are trying to navigate a difficult conversation with your spouse or a negotiation at work. The lion is gone, but the alarm bell is still ringing. So when you snap at your children, or when you shut down in a meeting, do not hate yourself. Understand that your biology has taken over. The pilot has been knocked out of the cockpit, and the autopilot is flying the plane into a mountain. The reaction is the hijack. It is loud, it is fast, and it is blind. But the response? The response requires that we keep the pilot awake. It requires that we override millions of years of evolution that tell us to attack, and instead choose to observe. This is the first step of our training. to recognize the hijack when it begins, to feel the heat rising in your neck, the tightening in your chest, the narrowing of your vision. These are not commands to act. They are simply data. They are the dashboard lights telling you that your system is under pressure. Most people feel this pressure and immediately open the valve. They yell, they run, they distract themselves. They let the steam out in a reaction. The master feels the pressure and does nothing. He holds the energy. He contains the fire without letting it burn the house down. He waits for the amygdala to stop ringing its bell so that the neocortex can come back online. It sounds simple, but to do nothing when every cell in your body is screaming at you to do something, that is the highest form of discipline. So, the alarm is ringing. The chemicals are flooding your blood. The tiger is in the room, even if the tiger is just a deadline or a disappointed look from someone you love. What do? Most people try to fight the mind with the mind. They try to argue with their anger. They try to rationalize their anxiety. They tell themselves, calm down, don't be silly. But this rarely works. Why? Because as we said, the logical captain is locked out of the cockpit. You cannot reason with a nervous system that believes it is about to die. To regain control, you must stop trying to think your way out and start feeling your way out. You must bypass the brain and speak directly to the body. We need to find the brake pedal, and fortunately, nature has installed one inside of you. It is a physical switch that turns off the alarm and opens the door to that sacred gap between stimulus and response. This is not a metaphor, it is anatomy. To understand this power, we must look at the work of Dr. Stephen Porges, a distinguished university scientist and professor of psychiatry. In 1994, he proposed something that changed our understanding of human behavior forever: the Polyvagal Theory. Before this, we thought the nervous system was a simple toggle switch: stress on or stress off, fight or relax. But Dr. Porges revealed something far more profound. He showed us that we have a massive wandering nerve, the vagus nerve, that connects your brainstem to your heart, your lungs, and your gut. This nerve is the brake. When it is active, it slows your heart rate, it softens your voice, it relaxes the muscles in your face. But most importantly, it sends a signal from your body back up to your brain that says, "We are safe." When the vagus nerve is engaged, the amygdala stops ringing the bell. The neocortex, your wisdom, your logic, your master self, comes back online. The hijack ends. The code of the master, then, is the ability to manually engage this vagus brake at will. How do you do this when the world is chaotic? You cannot think your way into it. You must breathe your way into it. You see, the vagus nerve is intimately connected to your diaphragm. Every time you inhale, you gently press the gas pedal. Your heart rate speeds up slightly. Every time you exhale, you press the brake. Your heart rate slows down. The secret is not just taking a deep breath. The secret is the long exhale. When you feel the reaction rising, that heat, that tension, you must pause. You stop speaking, you stop moving, and you extend your exhale. You breathe out longer and slower than you breathed in. In that moment, you are hacking your own biology. You are sending a physical command to your heart to slow down. You are telling your ancient brain, there is no tiger. We are safe. This is the creation of the sacred gap. It might take only 6 seconds, one deep inhale and one long, slow, controlled exhale. But in those 6 seconds, you change destiny. You shift from a state of defense to a state of engagement. You move from the animal instinct to human consciousness. The masters of old didn't have the term Polyvagal Theory, but they understood this truth. When you see a master sitting in meditation, seemingly doing nothing, they are actually doing everything. They are training this braking system. They are strengthening their vagal tone so that when the chaos comes, the brake is strong and responsive. If you have a weak brake, the car of your life skids off the road at the first sharp turn. If you have a strong brake, you can navigate the most treacherous mountain passes with precision and grace. So, the practice is this. The moment you feel the trigger, your first response must not be to the person in front of you. Your first response must be to your own body. Drop your shoulders, unclench your jaw, soften your belly, and let the air leave your lungs slowly. You are buying yourself time. You are waiting for the chemicals to settle. You are refusing to act while you are blind. Once you have pressed the brake, once the red haze of the hijack begins to clear, you find yourself standing in that open space. The immediate urge to attack or run has faded. Now you have a choice. The puppet strings are cut, but standing in the gap is not enough. Now that you are awake, you must decide what to do. The pilot is back in the seat, but where will you fly the plane? You have calmed the body. The red alert has faded, but the mind is still active. In fact, in this silence, your mind will immediately offer you a story. It will say, "They are disrespecting you." It will say, "This is a disaster." It will say, "You need to defend yourself right now." This is the most dangerous moment. Because just because the thought is in your head, you believe it is true. You believe it is you. But the master knows a secret. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. Imagine your mind is a courtroom. The thought that enters, "He is insulting me," is just a prosecutor. It is presenting a case. It is not the judge. You are the judge. And a good judge does not bang the gavel and pass a sentence just because the prosecutor shouted loudly. A good judge asks for evidence. A good judge deliberates. This process of deliberation is what the ancient philosophers called the tribunal of the mind. 2,000 years ago, the great Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who was born a slave and became a master of his own mind, taught a discipline called synkatathesis. In English, we call this assent. Epictetus taught that we cannot control the initial impression. When someone yells at you, the impression, "I am being attacked," arrives automatically. You cannot stop it. But, and this is the key to all human freedom, you have the power to withhold your assent. You have the power to look at that thought and say, "I see you, but I do not agree with you yet. I do not sign the contract." Most people sign the contract immediately. They feel the anger. They accept the thought, "I must fight back," and they become the anger. The master looks at the anger and says, "Wait, let me test this." In this sacred gap, you must subject your first impulse to a rigorous interrogation. You must ask 3 questions before you release any action into the world. The first question, is this true? Is this person really attacking me? Or are they just stressed, tired, and fighting their own battles? Is this situation really a disaster? Or is it just an inconvenience that my ego has magnified? Often, the threat is just a shadow cast by our own insecurity. When you shine the light of truth on it, the shadow disappears. The second question, is this useful? If I follow this impulse, if I yell back, if I send that angry email, if I shut down, will it bring me closer to my goal? Will it solve the problem? Or will it only create more chaos? A reaction usually multiplies the problem. A response solves it. If the action is not useful, discard it. The third question is the deepest. Who is speaking? Is this my ego speaking, trying to protect its fragile image? Is this my inner child speaking, afraid of being abandoned? Or is this my highest self? This filtering process sounds slow, but with practice, it happens in a heartbeat. It is a mental martial art. A thought attacks. You block it with, "Is this true?" You deflect it with, "Is this useful?" And you disarm it with, "Who is speaking?" By the time you are ready to speak or move, the impurity of the reaction has been burned away. What remains is not an explosion of emotion, but a laser beam of intention. You are no longer a victim of the event. You are the architect of the outcome. And once you have filtered the noise, once you have separated the facts from the feelings, you are finally ready to do what masters do. You are ready to deliver the strike. But this strike is not a punch. It is a precise, harmonious interaction with reality. We have reached the final stage. You have paused the machine. You have filtered the impulse. Now, and only now, are you ready to act. This brings us to the definition of a true response. A reaction is like a shotgun fired in a dark room. It is loud, it is messy, it destroys everything. The target, the furniture, the walls, and it leaves you deaf and exhausted. It uses a tremendous amount of energy to achieve a very poor result. A response is different. A response is a scalpel in the hands of a surgeon. It is silent. It is precise. It cuts away only the disease and leaves the healthy tissue untouched. When a master responds, there is no wasted motion. There is no screaming, no drama, no unnecessary tension. If silence is the right tool, he uses silence. If a soft word is the right tool, he whispers. And if a decisive, forceful action is required, he strikes. But he strikes without anger, without hatred, simply because it is what the moment demands. This state of perfect, efficient action is what the ancients sought above all else. In the Taoist tradition, there is a concept called Wu Wei. It is often translated as non-action, but this is a misunderstanding. It does not mean laziness. It translates better as effortless action, or action that does not go against the nature of things. Imagine a swimmer. The amateur fights the water, splashing and struggling, trying to force his way upstream. He reacts to the river. The master studies the current, aligns his body with it, and uses the power of the water to propel himself. That is Wu Wei. In modern psychology, the researcher Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi identified this exact state. He called it flow. His research showed that human beings are at their most powerful, most creative, and most happy, not when they are relaxed, but when they are fully immersed in a challenge that they meet with high skill. When you react, when you get hijacked by anger or fear, you are instantly knocked out of flow. You become rigid. You become the amateur fighting the water. But when you respond, when you use the sacred gap to align your intention, you enter Wu Wei. You enter flow. You navigate the conflict with a grace that seems almost supernatural to those watching. You dissolve the argument with a joke. You de-escalate the aggression with a calm question. You turn the enemy into a friend, or you walk away with your dignity completely intact. This is the secret code. The master does not win by fighting harder. The master wins by refusing to fight the wrong battle. So, my friends, the path is clear, but do not mistake clarity for ease. This is the hardest training you will ever undertake. The world will test you. It is designed to test you. Tomorrow, someone will cut you off in traffic. Your internet will stop working. Your boss will be unfair. 1,000 little fires will be lit at your feet. In the past, you would have burned. You would have let the amygdala ring the bell, let the chemicals flood your veins, and let the puppet strings jerk you into a dance of frustration and regret. But today, you have the code. You know that the trigger is not a command, it is a question. You know where the brake pedal is, in the slow, deep rhythm of your breath. You know how to sit in the sacred gap and filter the noise. And you know that your power lies not in how fast you strike, but in how deeply you see. I want you to change the way you view the annoyances of your life. Stop seeing them as obstacles to your happiness. Start seeing them as your sparring partners in the dojo of life. That difficult person, they are not your enemy. They are your sensei. They are training your patience. That delay, it is not a waste of time. It is training your stillness. That crisis, it is not a disaster. It is training your clarity. You are not a machine built to react. You are a consciousness built to create. So, the next time the heat rises, the next time the world demands a reaction, do not give it one. Give it something better. Give it a response. Surprise the world with your calm. Confuse the chaos with your silence. And lead the storm with your stillness. The gap is open. The choice is yours. Walk through it.